Welcome to the Music Nut program. I am John. Thank you so much for joining me today. As we continue, it's Smithereens Saturday with the band's sixth album, God Save the Smithereens from 1999. This would be the first album that Smithereens would put out on an independent label, which was Velvel, later Koch Records. And it was also the first album not to hit the Billboard Top 200 Albums charts. Now, don't let that influence you on the quality of the album. This is the grower of their catalog, in my humble opinion. This was originally going to be called Apocalypse 2000. It was going to be an album about the end of the world because this was recorded in 1999. There was all this talk about, oh, what's going to happen when it's 2000? Is the world going to end? A lot of these songs on here have that kind of theme, even though that idea was shelved when they actually went into recording studio. Don Fleming produced this album. Musically, he's best known for being a member of the band Gumball. In the producer's chair, he's been behind some really strong albums from the 1990s, most notably Sweet Oblivion by the Screaming Trees and Bandwagon-esque by Teenage Fan Club. He also produced the debut album by Hole, which is pretty on the inside, as well as albums by Gumball themselves, Special Kiss and Reputation on Ice, and also Frosting on the Beater by the Posies, which was a great power pop album that got a lot of alternative rock airplay. So as I mentioned before, this is the grower of the catalog. Album's kind of tight. 13 songs, less than 42 minutes. Here we go. She's Got Away was the only single, but it was only released as a promotional single. This is the only song they do live these days. We're back to the craftsmanship of the early albums here. This has a nice 60s feel. Fantastic chorus on here. Very nice bridge on it. Underrated track by the Smithereens, even though I'm saying that about an opening track from a Smithereens album. House at the End of the World was written with Carrie Aker, who is best known for being a member of the bands Goodness and Hammerbox, respectively. This is like the closest thing to maybe a radio track or an adult contemporary song, although this has more bite than some of the songs that hit the adult contemporary charts that I talked about in earlier albums. Harmonies are very strong on here. I think Pat and Carrie sound very strong together. This is a very good song. Everything Changes. This is the first of several songs on here that are really tight, really short, under 3 minutes. We'll get into another song that's under 2 very shortly. Very mid-tempo. The guitars are louder on here. That concept of the end of the world is really on here. Everything changes, but nothing is stronger than love. We got some nice harmonies at the end. Good song. Flowers in the Blood. Here, the guitars are even louder. Very dark lyrically. Another strong chorus. Pat's vocals, which have always been deep, sound even deeper on this one. This is one of my favorite songs on the album, as well as the next track, The Long Loneliness, which clocks in at 1 minute and 40 seconds. And it's led by the acoustic guitars this time around. Very melodic. It sounds a lot like the Everly Brothers to me. Fits very well in the scope of this album. Someday, which is only sang as the first word on the verses. The chorus says, Things We Said Today, is decent, has nice harmonies on it. We got a nice economical solo from Jim on here. Decent track. The Age of Innocence, which was originally written when they were talking about making this an album about the end of the world, has a trombone solo on here from Christopher Washburn, and it has a very jazzy feel, not just because of that trombone solo, but that walking bass line by Mike as well. We got guitar chords carrying the way here instead of guitar lines or riffs. and the tempo picks up at the end. This is a very cool tune. Gloomy Sunday would be the first song they would do as a cover on a proper Smithereens album. And what I mean by that is the first album, especially for you, it was all original tracks. But then when they put out the reissue, they put a cover of Dick Dale's Mr. Eliminator on there. This was the first one to be as part of the proper album. Now, Gloomy Sunday is a jazz standard, most notably known for being sung by Billie Holiday, and her version is magnificent. And I'm not going to say that this is in that league. It's not. But the Smithereens do make it their own. They do a very good job with it. They do it faster, even though it still feels slow. But if you hear Billie Holiday's version, that's very slow. Nice version of this jazz standard. Then we go into I Believe. The gem of the album, Power Pop Bliss. We always got a gem or two on these albums, and this is the gem on this one. I saw them open with this at the Sellersville Theater in Sellersville, PA in 2016. I was shocked. Excellent track. Nice harmonies on the verses. We got those birds-like guitars are back. The pre-chorus kills. Dennis drives this engine with a plum. Excellent track. It should be part of their set list now, in my opinion. Next track is All Revved Up. This keeps up that momentum. This is more of a rocker as well. The bridge is pretty cool on this. And again, we have more of those lyrics. The end is coming, and it's coming fast. No time left for the two of us. Decent track. And a lot of these songs at the end are really going into that darker feel of what this album was supposed to be about originally. Even If I Never Get Back Home has a dark chorus, but it's really catchy. It rocks, has a melancholy feel. It feels more like grunge until that ending, which is very psychedelic. But it's a short track, 2.5 minutes. It's pretty decent. Try has this 60s feel. We got Lou Soloff on trumpet here. He was in Blood, Sweat, and Tears. You got two bridges on this that sandwich the trumpet solo from Lou. And even the lyrics here we go. When it's finally over, won't you try to come back home? Nice track here. Last Good Time ends the album. And it's interesting because Pat's saying on the last album, A Date with the Smithereens, he's sick of Seattle. Well, this song sounds like Soundgarden. What a way to end the album, because the last several albums were trying to end on a whimsical feel. Now we're ending on a very dark note. And you know what? This kills. I love this song. This is my favorite next to I Believe. They're saying goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Yeah, it sounds like the closer of an album about the end of end of the world. You got nice call and response in the chorus between Pat and Jim. Really cool, noisy guitar solo here from Jim as well. I think this song ends the album on a very strong note. So that is God Save the Smithereens from 1999. What do you think of this album? Have you heard this album before? And if you've heard it, what do you think of it? What are your favorite tracks from the album? Please let me know in the comments. On next week's It's Smithereens Saturday, we're going to talk about their next album, which will come out 12 years after this, meaning their next original album, because in the 2000s, they made a lot of covers albums, and I'm not going to talk about them because I want to talk about the Smithereens original music, because I thought their music was great and stood up on its own. In 2011, they would put out a gem titled 2011. And I hope you join me next week when I discuss this album. Some programming notes for you. This Saturday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on the Bicycle Legs channel. as a panel of several of us who have channels like Tom Curlis from Curlis Mania, Davey Cretan from Cretan Classics. We also got Todd Evans, who's been on a bunch of channels. And of course, Daniel Bosch, Bicycle Legs himself. We're going to talk about bands that never touched the first album. On Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this will be live. Join my friends and I on Grant's Rock Warehouse. We're going to have John Clauser. We'll have Byron Bolt. We'll have DC Toontime, Daryl Collins. I'm not sure who else is going to be joining us. We're going to continue our series about albums where the cracks continue to form. It will be part 3 of that series. That will be on Monday, September 30, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will be live. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join John Clauser, myself, and Mangus DC as we continue our ongoing series about the fantastic catalog, about the wonderful band that is Accept. We're going heavy metal now. We're going to talk about their most well-known album, and a lot of people would say their best album, Balls to the Wall. So until I see you again, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Do what you love, and I'll talk to you soon.